Hi everyone, my name is Sylvia, and today I am interviewing one of the creatives at BlueJam, the very talented Hazel. She has made 3 films which have been showcased throughout Cumbria, and today we will be discussing them. But before we begin, Hazel, tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm Hazel. Some of you will know me as Hazy Music Creations on Facebook and Instagram. This is our cat Squeak. He was featured in one of the videos which I'm about to explain. As Sylvia said, I have 3 videos which are being featured across Cumbria in the Jump for Climate performance which we did in September, and also at the Keswick Festival Fringe a few weeks ago. So the first video goes over our experience of being flooded out by Storm Desmond in 2015. The second video goes over our experience of being flooded out by Storm Ciara, which also features our cat Squeak, and how we've been affected in different ways by other storms, including Storm Dennis, Storm Isha and Storm Aowen. And then the third video is of the heat waves that we had last year, because last year we had 4 heat waves, and according to the Met Office it was our warmest summer of the year, and it affected the south of England more than in the north, and you can visibly see that as you travelled further south. Anything further south of the Midlands just gradually got drier and browner as we went to Exmouth, and I just wanted to capture that and make that into a video.
Would you say that while there is an underlying theme of climate change and environmental awareness, would you say that they're 2 separate kind of projects? So you've got your storm project and you've got the heatwave one, or are they kind of in one package?
I made them all into an EP, so it feels like they're kind of about 2 different things, but it's all one package.
And I realised that there was a question that didn't end up getting included in the video, and that is, would you say there is a link between the flooding and the heat waves? I would say that there is a link between them, because storms form further out in the ocean, and warmer air means more water vapour, because water evaporates when it gets warmer. While we don't get many storms during the heat waves, the overall temperature rising in the autumn seasons as well is impacting the strength of the storms and the severity of them, as well as how often we're getting them as well.
What inspired you to make these films?
So for the Storm Desmond one, as understandable as it is, it can be quite hard to explain to people who haven't experienced being flooded out before what it's actually like. I've made videos before where I've been saying that because sometimes we'll be affected by a strong storm, the wind noise and watching the river level go up, even though we know it's not going to affect us. When the storm passes, we can get a bit of an adrenaline crash from it. It basically just kind of takes it out of us. That can be quite hard to explain to other people. So as well as showing the whole experience of being flooded out, I want to help raise awareness of the emotional impact of it as well. The same kind of goes for the Storm Ciara video, because that's just similar things. I had originally had the idea of having all the storms in one video, but because Storm Desmond was such a big event, we've got the most footage of that storm, and I didn't feel like I was going to get to say everything that I wanted to say in the video because of that. So I made one big one about Storm Desmond and then another one for the other storms.
The heatwave video was inspired by watching everything gradually get drier and browner as we drove further south. It was inspired by watching some of the birds panting in the extreme heat and watching the sheep shelter in the trees because they had no other way of escaping the extreme sun. It's also about the whole idea a lot of people seem to have of the sun as being good and the rain as being bad, and watching comments on the weather going, it's just summer or it's just the weather, when actually there's more to it than that. And what we really need is a good balance of both sun and rain, because as you've seen from the storm videos, too much rain can be bad for people because it can lead to flooding and plants drowning, and too much sun can also be bad because it can be difficult to grow plants, it can be difficult to grow food and raise livestock as well. The idea of making the heatwave video was to help raise awareness of how big of an impact it's actually having when we go so long without rain as well.
Thank you very much for that, Hazel. So obviously you explain how this was very much your lived experience and this is something that you wanted to share, and everyone, especially in Cumbria, knows of how big of an impact Storm Desmond had in the whole of the region. So what is the main message that you are trying to send with these videos?
As well as raising awareness of the emotional impact of the storms, I'm also hoping to help raise awareness of climate change and help educate people on that. I mean, there are people out there who are doing it, but you don't always see a lot of people documenting the process on a personal level. It's more facts and statistics, and I wanted to try and get it on a more personal level so that it's done in a way which people can connect to more. I just want to quickly give a bit of a shout out to Flooded People UK. They came and interviewed us a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago. They're a big support group for anyone who's been flooded before. They're a non-profit organisation. They've got a private group on Facebook for people who have been flooded before to offer support to each other. They've also got a public group where you can follow their activity. Unfortunately, I don't think they're on Instagram, but they're all on Facebook.
I just think it's a really nice group to be a part of, because I know that a lot of people were affected by Storm Desmond, but in the beginning it does feel like you're on your own, and it's not really until you start doing things like this that there is actually more people out there going through similar things. And part of the reason why I'm raising awareness about it is to try and help people feel like they're not alone, especially those who are going through it themselves.
You also made music as part of these videos. Can you tell us a little bit about your creative process and your technical process in making this music?
Before I knew that I was taking part in the Jam for Climate performance, I was just sat playing around in Logic, which is the software that I use. I've got a little MIDI keyboard. I had a track open and I was just sat there seeing what I could come up with. And then I came up with this loop, which is currently playing in the background. And then I found out that I was doing the Jam for Climate. Don't know what you're seeing. And I decided that I wanted to take this as the opportunity to have my say for the storm, because it's only really been from doing these videos that I've been talking more about the storm. So I found out that I was doing the Jam for Climate project, and the energy was just there, because as I said earlier, it's all the frustration from finding it hard to explain it to people, and all the anxiety and stuff from the storm, and all the energy for that comes out in the music. And there's just like this big sweeping drone synth, whatever you want to call it, that's just like over the top of everything. And as soon as I found that synth, I was just like, that's just going in there, and it just totally lifted the whole thing up. For the Storm Ciara video, it took me a while to come up with a different song for that one, because I wanted to have a different feel to what I've just done but still have the same drive. So that's what I've tried to do with that song. And then for the Heatwave video, we did a performance with Lal Tetherer at BlueJam. Lal Tetherer is their own band, but they performed at BlueJam. I came up with the structure of the song before that, and then I played with them and I came up with a melody for the performance. The video where I'm explaining about the heatwaves, it's just the instrumental version with a voiceover on top. So when you go and listen to it on the EP, you get me playing the saxophone over the top. It's kind of like a little surprise thing of me playing the saxophone to the thing.
What was the emotional impact on making these videos and recording the music?
It was a very up and down process to do the videos, and it was more triggering than I thought it was going to be. When you're editing a video, you're going through the footage, which is looking through all the memories of it, and then you have to play everything back as many times as you need to get everything into the right place. And then I was going to do a voiceover for the Jam for Climate performance, and that means you need to rehearse that, and it's more playing back of the song and having everything and having everything repeating on the computer, and your brain's doing loops of it when you're not editing it and you're processing it. So I got my mum to help reword the voiceover to get it phrased in the right way. By the time we got to the second video, it just got to the point where I was just shouting at her, and I didn't mean to. It just came out because it was being triggered by it. So at that point I just needed to take a little bit of a step back.
We are at the banks of the River Eden, the river which swelled and overflowed during Storm Desmond Desmond and caused the flooding. In those videos, you also talk about your pets. Obviously, you know, they don't understand what's happening when it floods. Tell us a little bit about that as well and what impact it had.
The cats are normally outdoor cats. In Storm Desmond we had 3 other cats. We had Idris, Tigger and Bumble. And sometimes Idris would like to drink rainwater. So in Storm Desmond there's a clip of Idris drinking the river, but that didn't harm him, thankfully. We're in a place that wouldn't harm him. And when we were in the temporary house for Storm Desmond, they couldn't go out because we were on the street, and we were in the house for a year and a half. So it took us some time to be able to get used to come out again.
On a similar note, did Storm Ciara impact Squeak in any way?
Squeak particularly likes to go out every night, and if you don't let him, he'll just be like shouting and shouting and shouting until he gets what he wants.
Familiar?
He was very curious about exploring the house and exploring the outside space. I can remember him wanting to go out and explore the storm. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage, but he just kept coming back absolutely drenched, and we just kept having to like dry him off with a towel and get all the mud off his feet before he went on the beds and stuff. And when the river dried, he came down and had a look, and the ground was still muddy from the stuff that the river carries. So we got muddy feet during that as well.
Oh no, you're not. That's the inside of the coat. Go on.
You'll see in the video that in Storm Desmond, Storm Dennis, he wasn't really that fazed by the water being high. The river flooded again in Storm Dennis, but it didn't come in the house, it would just cut us off. He was quite happy exploring that. But Bumble, we had at the time of Storm Ciara, he just didn't want to experience it again, so he just kind of stayed inside.
Aww. Poor kitty.
Thankfully, there wasn't as many people affected by Storm Ciara. So we were able to find a house with a garden and a place where they can go out and explore. And Squeak was quite happy with that. He probably wouldn't have coped with the first house that we were in.
And how are you coping now? Looking back to what happened, Storm Desmond, Storm Ciara, what is the impact now, especially after working through all of the creative processes?
It's definitely helped to heal. It's been a good part of the healing process. We had a weather event the other week where the river went really high, and normally just watching the river go up like that can set us up on edge, but it went up and we weren't really paying as much attention to what was going on, and we managed not to panic at that one. So we still have our moments, but we're starting to come round from that a little bit more. It's just like Storm Desmond was 10 years ago. We've been through the footage so many times, and for us it's all kind of like said and done, but we're still processing it. So it's like when we play it, we're just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's kind of done. And then everyone else is just like stunned by the performance. And that's kind of what it was like for us, because I can remember at the climate performance, my video's finished, and I don't know if it's because I didn't put credits at the end, but the audience was just completely silent for a second before they started clapping at the end of the thing, because they were just stunned by what they just saw.
Obviously, you weren't the only one who was impacted by the storms. It was also your whole family. So when you're making the videos, how did you try to incorporate the whole family and make it into a family experience, really?
So I tried to include footage of them experiencing the storm in the video, and I also included the pets. At the time of Storm Desmond, I had a YouTube channel about the pets. I didn't really understand the severity of what was going on around me. So a lot of the footage that I got was of the pets. And so that's how I've managed to incorporate the pets into the videos as well. I wanted my parents to speak in the Storm Desmond video because they did all the rebuilding work, and I was just kind of a little bit more in the background. It just makes it sound like it's more coming from them, because it comes back to the whole facts and figures, statistics thing that I was on about earlier, because instead of getting that, you're getting the full overview of what it was like for everyone on a more deeper level.
what we're going to do is we're just going to showcase how, on a personal, using Hazel as a scale, to see just how high the water actually went. So give us 1 second.
So when we first started the Storm Desmond video, we came out to see what the river was doing while the water was rising. This is like a normal height for the river. I'll check the river levels when I get home and put them on the screen so you can see how high it was. We get a flood alert before we go in the morning, and this lower bit of the bank, if I'm right, is the normal height of the bank, the natural height of the bank. When we came out for Storm Desmond, the water was about here, and then when we were flooded, the water was about 5.6 metres deep at Lindstock, and as you go further down the river that'll vary, but where we are about now, it was somewhere above my head because I'm 5'2", so I'm quite small.
So what's next in the pipeline then? What is your next big project that you're working on?
When I gave the shout out about Flooded People UK, I forgot to mention that they filmed the whole interview that we did, and they are currently in the process of editing it. At the minute, they're making it all into short reels. If my understanding is right, they will be posting a documentary about our experience and other people's experience of being flooded as well. At the minute, I don't know when that will be, but it might be in a few months, and if you follow us on social media, then you'll find out nearer the time.
Storm Desmond has been implemented into A-level geography. We had a group of students who came and asked us to share our experience of Storm Desmond for their studies, and at the time I didn't have the video made because this was a couple of years ago, so all they could do was take notes of us talking, and now with the video, so I'm hoping that my work can be used as a resource as well. So the next big project, I'm going to be hoping to perform the videos again in June. I think it's at some kind of green screen event week. Details of the event are still being confirmed, but if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, you'll find out at a later point where and when it will be.
So the us is either BlueJam Arts or Hazy Music Creations. So, stay tuned, guys, and we will have more information for you shortly. Thank you very much, Hazel.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers, guys. Bye. Excellent. Right. My chapter. Okay.
Well, he was featured in the video about Storm Ciara. I don't know if I can catch him purring. He's going to rub the microphone.
He's an excellent mascot.
Yeah. As well as the emotional impact, there's a plane going past. I don't know if the microphone's picking up the plane or not. It's still going to wait.
How is it now, looking back onto, what happened? Right, we're going to restart that. Don't have to restart it like that. 3. Hazel, tell us a bit about yourself.
So, I'm Hazel. Some of you... Wait, should I be holding the microphone?
I was just going to hold it the entire time.
Okay,